position. That's the most important thing in wrestling. And there's two key points about a person's stance and position. First, it has to be comfortable for you. Second, you have to be relaxed in a stance. You have to be comfortable in it, because that's where matches are won and lost. On all levels, what wrestlers are trying to do is get their opponent out of position, create an angle so they can score. To do that, they have to get a wrestler out of position. So the most important thing in wrestling, and the first skill, is position. There's two types of stance. A square stance, where my feet are equal. I want my feet shoulder width, I want my head up, I want my back straight, and I want my elbows in and my palms slightly pointed down. I'm on the balls of my feet, I'm not on my heels. I don't want any space. Square stance from the side, I don't want any space so you can see under my toes. You want that wrestler slightly leaning forward. I want my shoulders in line with my knees. This is a square stance here. A couple things about a square stance. Anytime you see a wrestler in a square stance, keep in mind that for me to do an offensive move, I have to get my opponent coming to me or leaning on me. That's the only way that I can get in a position where I can score.
Let's look at this square stance in a live or real wrestling situation. Weight is slightly forward on the balls of the toes. Feet are approximately shoulder width apart. Shoulder over the knee. Back straight. Head up. Elbows are in and palms are slightly down. Notice that blue is working primarily from a square stance and he's forcing red to move into him. This is essential if he wants to set up an offensive technique from a square stance. He needs to have his opponent moving into him or leaning on him.
The second stance is a staggered stance, where I have one foot in front of the other. Again, my elbows are in, my head is up, my back is straight, and my palms are slightly pointed down. And again, I'm on my toes, the balls of my feet, my shoulders stay in line with my knees in this position. As you can see, when I turn just a little bit, I'm now in a square stance. When I turn back, I'm in a staggered stance. In this position, this staggered stance, which some people call a drop step, I'm already in position to penetrate to my opponent. So anytime you see a wrestler that stays in this stance, he's ready to penetrate more quickly. His motion will go forward and back way easier than it can go sideways.
Let's take a look at this staggered stance with some live action footage with Olympic and world champion John Smith. Notice John's in a very low position, weight forward on the balls of his toe, shoulder, knee, toe all in line. Back straight, head up. Elbows are in and the palms slightly down. Here's another example with Olympic silver medalist and world champion Zeke Jones. Once again, notice his feet are about shoulder width or slightly greater apart. Shoulder, knee in line. Elbows in where they can protect. Palms slightly down, head up, back straight. From here, he's able to move in both a backward and forward motion quite freely. And notice how he uses a drop step to set up penetration on a single leg takedown.
So again, the two stance. Square stance, feet shoulder width, head up, back straight, elbows in this position is mainly for defense and lateral motion. Second, the staggered stance in this position is mainly for offense. I can move forward and backwards way easier than I can move laterally.